Hey there, Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising. Welcome to your reading for the new moon in Cancer. This energy is in nice, easy trine flow to yours, so this should be a really lovely new moon for you. It is happening at 2:23 p.m. Eastern Time Zone here in the U.S. on Monday, July 17th. If you're in New Zealand, you're probably getting it on the 18th in the morning. I believe that's correct, but check the time zone calculator in the description box below to be sure, because a half hour before or a half hour after, until a half hour after this new moon, we have it's a Cassimi new moon, and this Cassimi new moon is very fertile ground for you to plant your seeds of intention in. Ooh, anchoring into taking some action here. All right, so you have some really interesting cards that came out here. Scorpio, you have had the South Node go through your sign at the time of this new moon. The South Node is sitting at 0 degrees and 1 minute of Scorpio. It is wrapping up its cycle there. Within a day or so, it moves on into Libra, and so then the healing begins, right? There's been all this disruptive energy. Then there's the integration of the healing, of the bringing this energy in. This new moon sets off a 6-year cycle, so where do you want to be at the end of this decade is a big deal here. But right now, it's like, wow, there's a lot going on. Okay, so let's look at this. Where are you going to anchor your energy? Well, the key to the situation is the stability of the anchor. Okay, so that is the stability. Here we have the overall energy is the action to take, and in the action to take we have the mountain, and the mountain is obstacles, right? And there is a decision. There is the decision that's been hard to make about what choice to make. Where do I move from here? How do I go? And so let's hopefully get you some answers to that as we work through this, because in the area of where the mountain exists in this reading, we have the decision-making energy of the scythe. And so the scythe says that it's time to harvest, right? It is time to take a look at where you are. What have you learned? What have you gained? What is worth keeping? And what needs to be released and let go in order to move on? And so it's almost as though you are going to sit down with your backpack of energy. It looks like in the heart space energy, making your choice and decision about what has value to you, what is worth keeping, and how can you lighten the load so that you can move forward and overcome these obstacles and keep going. So for the next year and a half, while the South Node is moving through Libra, it is an integration period, and so there's going to be a lot of, and it's a rebalancing, right? It's in Libra anyways, so that is about the rebalancing of the divine masculine and divine feminine energies. It's about finding our footing, plus for you it's the integration process. And so over the next year and a half, you're going to be going through little mini, let's let that go, let's let go, I want to keep that, I want to harvest that, I need to do this, I need to let go of that. And so there's going to be this energy going. But overall, I love it. You've been looking for the higher perspective. You've been doing this work already. You're saying, okay, so here's where I am right now. I'd like to get a higher perspective. Where can I find safety and stability? The tower is about finding safety and stability. And when it's up here where we're seeking knowledge and information, you are trying to figure out where. It's almost like, oh, wow, that's some image. They're showing me how in the spring when the rains come, all of a sudden everybody starts complaining because they have ants in their house, because the ants are like, where's the higher ground? How can we get up out of the cold, damp, muddy, it's destroying where we are? We need to get up to higher ground and wait for things to dry out so that we can go back and rebuild. And that's kind of where it feels like you're at here right now. You're like, where is the safe place for me right now? Where can I anchor my energy into right now? What is safe? What is stable? What makes me feel comfortable? And the way to figure that out, to transform the situation, it is in the heart space. So here we have the heart in the area of transformation. And in the heart space, we have clouds. So I can tell that you are working through this confusion about where it is safe to put down your roots, right? There's something here around feeling grounded, safe, and secure that is definitely an issue. In the area of where you have anxiety, we have the tree. Could be around your health. It could be around family matters. It could just simply be about where can I put my roots down and feel safe and stable. Where can I allow myself to grow? How can I branch out? Whether this is in business or in personal aspects of your life. I have to say your financial resources look pretty solid. So I feel like this is an emotional thing because up here in the area of resources, we have the sun is shining. And so I feel like financially, you're navigating things fairly well. I think there's just been a lot of emotional things that have been brought up over the past year and a half, that there's still a lot of confusion around what is the best next choice to take. So we have the anchor position here. The anchor is sitting in the key position, so that's really important. And then here, it's what are you anchoring into? We have the moon that has a old-fashioned watch on it. It's not a stopwatch. It'd be like what your grandfather would have put on a chain, right? Like old railroad watch. So we have the watch and we have the luck. So you're entering into a new lucky cycle. That moon, as it shifts and it moves, and the nodes, when we talk about the north node and south node, that's the nodes of the moon. It's where the path of the moon as it goes around the earth intersects with the earth's path as it rotates around the sun. And so it creates this nodal setup, this X kind of the energies where they cross, and those create the points where the karmic changes happen, where the big shifts and the big energy and where it strikes in your chart matters. And so you guys have been going through the south node. The south node is where we find the gifts. The south node is where we've been. It's what we already know. And so in your birth chart, where your south node is where you came into this life with certain gifts, skills, that you can lean back into. But the north node is the direction that your soul was choosing to move in. Or you know how to do this, and I want to work toward that, right? So the south node, having just moved through your sign, was about recognizing where your strengths and your gifts and everything are. But now it's about repositioning yourself toward what is across the zodiac from you and Taurus. What are the places where you want to branch out to create stability? And Taurus is all about stability, energy. And so where do I want to go from here to create stability? And that is definitely showing up in this reading. And so there's a lot of luck, though, that has been involved in this process. And sometimes we're like, I don't feel so lucky about what has been going on. But I feel like the divine timing of things, as you gain this higher perspective, as you look, you can see where the gifts have and how things are kind of magically falling into place if you will use the attitude of gratitude to view things. Like the things that fell away, it was just time for them to fall away. No matter how much you didn't want that to be the truth, that would have been the truth, right? So whether it was a relationship or a job or, sometimes when the south node is moved through certain aspects of my chart, that's when marriages begin and end. Sometimes when it moves through certain aspects of my chart, it's when I graduate from one form of school and move into a new one or into the job market. Sometimes it's where I go from being single to, like being married, but also to have kids, right? And so those kinds of things happen. And so it really lines up with that. You have the higher self and the mask. Of course you have the mask. Okay, here in the heart space, this is where we're transforming things, is with the heart, right? In the heart space, there's all this confusion. And when we have the card of the mask says, neither you nor anyone else involved in your situation has a clear picture of what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen. So, often I find with Scorpio that other people not knowing what Scorpio does is a regular course of business. That's how we run our lives. But you not knowing what you're doing is very confusing to you, because generally you know what's going on irregardless of what anybody else knows. And so you're being called, I think, to speak to your higher self. Stop longing, still your mind, and allow your higher self to use its infinite resources to comfort and guide you to the fulfillment of your desires. So the action to take at this point is to kind of lean into the fact that you don't really know what's going on, but you're here in divine timing. There is a timing aspect that was always in play, and now if you will allow yourself to receive the information from your higher self during this integration phase of your life, the direction will become more clear. Because there was a game plan that you may not remember, most of us don't, of when we incarnated into this particular lifetime, of things that we plan to do, steps we plan to take, encounters we plan to have, growth opportunities. But we're always supposed to be moving toward our sense of joy and happiness, right? Our purpose is always to find joy and happiness and to continue to move in that direction. So, you have the card of resurrection. We have this moon, and it's the California poppies, right? You can't hardly see it in this lighting. There's like a little crescent moon here around the owl. So there's wisdom to be gained. That crescent owl, a crescent moon, and that owl face with this divine timing totally mimics this moon card. There is wisdom to be gained, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's like this dragon here. So this dragon energy of knowledge and wisdom to be gained with the cycles of the way things have moved. And so you have been, you've been on this phase of the journey to learn and to grow, and now there's this integration period, and a crescent moon is not a full moon, right? It's barely out of the new moon. So as you plant your seed of intention with this new moon and you begin in this new cycle, it's about gaining the wisdom, maybe taking the time to look at what has happened to understand and to reflect. And here we have the card of let magic in. Vervain. Oh my God, so there's these three paths and they're moving toward the mountains. It doesn't really matter, they all get there. Look, I really want you to look at this. See the mountains, and all three paths are going there. And you have the mountains in both of these cards. This is the action to take. Let the magic in. Now is the time. Now is the time to really see what have you learned, how have you grown, what is important to your heart. And it is through your heart that you connect in with your higher self. That's where you get that knowledge and that information. That's where it comes in. Okay, so I can see a delay as I'm recording, but it doesn't necessarily always show up. If it's showing up while you're viewing this, I have to apologize. My computer gets a little overheated, and I have been on for a couple hours now. Wow. Okay. Overall, you are held. May you feel the ocean's caress. Feel safe and secure as you set down your anchor. So basically what I want to say is pause for a few minutes. The confusion will clear as you spend time in your heart space. To me, it feels like if you don't make time for meditation or journaling or something like that, it's going to be harder to figure this out. And so taking that quiet space, that withdrawing, and I know Scorpio can do that. Scorpio tends to be able to pull their energy in pretty well and be able to assess the situation. But here it's not about assessing the situation. This is about pulling your energy in to listen to your heart. What do you really want? So believe. May the seed deepen your faith. Pause. May moments of calm sustain you. There is a need to pause and be curious. May you open and explore. There's new opportunities. There's new things that want to come in. There's new options open to you. There's three paths showing up here. There's magic that's waiting to happen. But this is an opportunity for you to really discover who you want to be now. What choices do you want to make now? Where would you like to go from here? You're where you are. It doesn't matter how you got there. That's where you are. That's your starting point now. Because we're at 0 degrees of Scorpio with that South Node. We're at the beginning again. And so the curiosity, when it says curious and you have these 3 paths and they all lead to the mountains, and the mountains there really feel like going to the mountain of spirituality, of self-knowledge and wisdom, of taking a higher vantage point, of really getting to see things from that higher viewpoint. And so I feel like you're safe and you're protected on this journey. Trust the steps ahead of you, but it's okay to take a few steps down one path and go, gosh, this really isn't it, and go get on a different path. Because there's 3 paths open to you. And at the beginning of these paths here, it's very wide, and it's easy to take a few steps in one direction and change your mind and still go in a different direction without having to backtrack. And so I feel like as you're going, see how the path's really wide at the beginning, it feeds all 3, and then it starts to narrow down. But there's a lot of time for you to kind of entertain the idea of all 3 paths. Be curious about it. Make your choice and decision as you move, like not this. Sometimes what we know, what we don't want is easier than trying to sort out exactly what we do want, especially when we have lots of options and opportunities. It feels very 7 of Cups energy here, like you have multiple choices. And so this is the fun part. You get to sort out what it is you really want. And it's okay that you don't really know yet. Nobody else needs to know until you figure it out anyway. So take your time. That's what the integration period is for. That's a whole 1.5 years of integration before you have to start planting some seeds of intention. So I feel like almost as though you'll be in this phase of it for the next 1.5 years where it's really wide and the choices are open to you. But then you're going to start picking a path. And it's okay. So enjoy where you are right now and learn who you are right now, because you've changed, you've grown, you had no choice to, you had to. All right. Okay, Scorpio, I hope that was helpful for you. I'm on Facebook every day, really get into the astrology over there. We're working with Venus as she makes her way through Leo right now. And I do personal readings. If you're curious about one of those, the information is, you can hit me up with an email, and that is in the description box below. You guys take great care, and I'll talk to you again soon.